The best way to keep yourself calm is to focus on tasks, on things that you have to do. If you try to focus inward and control your emotions, that will backfire. It puts you in touch with your fears and with your anger, and so you'll become worse. But if you focus on a task, on something you have to do in order to make the situation better, then it's easy. The reason is you're activating a different part of your brain. Task focus happens in your prefrontal cortex, but fear and anger happens in a different part of the brain, the amygdala in the midbrain. And so if you can focus intently on a task, you can control your emotions. And it's the same with the people who you're working with. If you allow them to just sit and worry with nothing to do, then they'll become fearful. But if you focus them on a task that will improve their situation, they'll be able to function. And the simplest example of this is a common circumstance where people are in, say, an automobile accident, or maybe there's a person at a restaurant who's choking on a piece of meat. And in those circumstances, people take action to help. And as long as they're helping, as long as they have a task, they're calm. But after the crisis has passed, that's when they feel the emotion. That's when they start to shake or be emotional or upset. And the reason for that is that they no longer have a task to perform. A young person who would be in charge of other jumpers, we would make sure that when they were at altitude preparing to jump, all they would do is check equipment. Check, 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 check. That's a task. And so they would not become fearful because they were always busy with the task. That's how it's done. And if you allow people to just sit and think about the danger of their circumstances, they all become emotional. It's how we're wired. It's how our brains are wired. Confidence, confidence, confidence. The world will get through this problem, and we will get past it. And so leaders have to focus people on the future, on the objective, not panic about short-term problems, death rates, issues of how much infection there is. In the military, we used to have a saying, and when we would go on an operation, we would turn to the people to our right and our left and would say, "See you on the objective," which was a comment that we knew things would be okay in the future. We knew we would see these people later. We knew that we would achieve our objective. Is a forward-looking attitude that, yes, people will become sick. Yes, some people may die. But in a certain amount of time, we will be past this as a community and as a country. And it's that focus that people need to be consistently aware of. We'll do what we have to do in the short term to protect ourselves, to prevent the virus from spreading. But there is a future that's brighter that we are all going to live. And people need to hear that. They need the transformational leadership that points to the future. Even if the future can't be precisely defined, even if the future is not perfectly understood, We know we're having a future and it's going to be better than things are right now. And people need to hear that all the time. And it's not a false optimism, it's the truth. So the first thing that leaders need to adopt is defensive pessimism. And what defensive pessimism means is that you consider not only the most likely outcomes, but the most dangerous outcomes. And so always when decision making, leaders need to consider what's the most likely thing to occur and the most dangerous or damaging thing that might occur. And then when making decisions, there needs to be at least two courses of action. One course of action that you think is the most probable, that you need to pursue, and then an alternate course of action that you can shift to if the worst happens. Always two, never one. Never a decision that puts you on one course of action. Always two or more. And what that will do is it will prepare you for what's likely to occur, but it will protect you from the worst possible occurrences. And I will also say that that second course of action, that's a response to disaster, does not always have to be shared with everyone. The leader needs to know it, and the leader's staff close to them needs to know it. But everyone doesn't need to know it, because what everyone needs to know is what we're doing now, what we're doing if things turn out the way we think they will. In addition to this defensive pessimism and the multiple courses of action, each leader who has to make these kinds of decisions needs to pull one of their best people aside and have them stay away from the planning, and their only job is to criticize the decision for the leader. In other words, the leader needs an objective set of eyes, a separate opinion from the planners and the people who are heavily involved. Someone that leader trusts to say, well, I know the planners are saying to do this, but I think it's a problem and here's why. So the leader needs this objective viewpoint, independent from all the other people who are planning and helping that leader make that decision. Because what happens during these kinds of planning processes is that people get excited about their plan and they want to sell it to the leader. They want the leader to like it, and they will overlook significant mistakes. So there needs to be a separate critical set of eyes advising the leader about what others are suggesting that leader do.